We are joined by Justice Ajay Rastogi, who retired as a judge of the Supreme Court last week after serving in the Apex Court for almost 4.5 years. Sir, thanks for giving us your valuable time for this interview.
Thank you very much.
Sir, you have served as a judge for almost 19 years, started in Rajasthan High Court in 2004 and then elevated to Tripura High Court and then as Chief Justice and then to Supreme Court as judge in 2018. So in 19 years of your judgeship, how do you see Supreme Court as the real or an apex court in true sense for an ordinary man, not in the legal parlance, but as a custodian of right for an ordinary person?
See, so far we have three organs in the Constitution. We have the legislature, we have the executive and the judiciary. Judiciary, to my understanding, is working, and I'm confident, to the satisfaction of the people and in upholding the rights, constitutional rights and their personal liberties to the utmost satisfaction. And in my 19 years of working as a judge, my understanding goes in that we have learned a lot by experience, but the judiciary is coming with glory and to the satisfaction of the people, subject to what you have to say in reference to the people feel about the system of working.
So, but that's where, if you could see many opposition parties, they have a criticism now. They say that the independent bodies which were envisaged as many institutions which were envisaged as to function as an independent bodies are being compromised and are being currently pressurized. Some even point fingers at higher judiciary too. How do you respond to such criticism? Because at the end of the day, you say that as Supreme Court, that's the last hope for any ordinary person to come to protect their right. So, but many opposition parties say that institutions are being compromised.
You see, I can't examine somebody's perception about examining the working of the judiciary, but I, being very close throughout my working, and I have seen the working of the judiciary. You see, we work on the basis of the material on records, the law on the subject, and decide in accordance with law. I'm sorry to say the people who comment, even the political parties also, to some extent they are not aware of. They have their own viewpoint, what the media has projected to them. Hardly people know what were the facts and circumstances in which the order has been passed by this court. So this perception is being exposed by these people, by the politicians or by other people also, on the basis of their own personal view which they have developed because of the media, what the media projects to them. But my end of the day is, the judiciary is working to the best of its ability with no pressure from either corners and deliver justice to the people at large. And my request to the media is, please project this system in a positive way so that the confidence of the people, which indeed has, should not be shaken at any point of time.
So, but when you say that there is no pressure, especially the higher judiciary is functioning independently.
Yes.
But lately we are also seeing criticism on the functioning of Collegium system for appointment to the higher judiciary. Some executives have also criticized this system, and also a senior constitutional functionary has also questioned this particular system. Do you think that this is the time for the higher judiciary to review this particular system? If so, what's the best system that's available? Also on this point, that even executive to an extent is questioning this particular system. Is that amounting to interfering or influencing the higher judiciary?
You see, this question of Collegium every time it raises. I examined this system of Collegium very closely, being a member of the Collegium. I'll tell you, even before Collegium there was one system. the recommendation made by the Chief Justice of India finally, and the appointments are made by Honorable the President. The change has come, and this court felt that there must be some transparency, and that there should be a mechanism in place in taking a final decision as to who is the man who is amongst the available persons the best to be considered for elevation. So we evolved this Collegium system. You will find Collegium works three members for the High Court and 5 members for the Supreme Court and transfer matters. If we collectively examine it, 5 judges of the Supreme Court, the senior most, who are sitting together to examine the credentials, the potential of the person in taking a final decision, they have experience of working as a judge, to my understanding, for more than 15 years. 15 years is a good time for one to understand that what kind of an institution it is and what kind of a persons are required to serve. And we have to trust the system. Let us take the amendment which came in 2015 and we introduced NJC. NJC has just reconstituted the committee. You will find the Chief Justice of India, 2 senior judges, the Law Minister and 2 eminent persons. An appointment of eminent persons by the committee of the Prime Minister, the Chief Justice of India and Leader of Opposition. Now the composition is changed. Ultimately this composition will also work together collectively in taking a decision. Now the system is the same. If the NJC would come into picture, the same people will say the NJC is also not working to the satisfaction of the people. Now my question is different. Are the persons who are selected, finally recommended and appointed by the government, or the persons who are not recommended or appointed by the government? What difference, how individual difference can be made by these persons who are making comments? You make a comment on the street is different, but let us see what kind of comments are. Are those people who are examining individuals' performance are the persons to select? So we have to trust. And to my understanding, whatever the system you introduce, whether Collegium or NJC or by virtue of a change amendment made by the government, ultimately we have to trust the system which goes on. And I always say it's open for the government. The government find that the Collegium is not working to their satisfaction, make an amendment. But the law which is in place, my request is...
They did make an amendment, NJC was brought in.
NJC was shut down.
By the...
So what my request is, as long as the law exists as on today, my request is must be respected by all agencies, including the government as well.
So you were also part of this constitution bench that ordered for setting up of a collegium-like system for appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners. So as of this moment, Centre has not enacted a law to that particular effect, and there are also some criticism from some quarters. They say that Supreme Court did overreach in that particular case. That was not the domain of the judiciary to entertain. That should have been dealt by the legislative. How do you respond to that?
No, ultimately it is for the legislation. We have only put in place in an interregnum period till the legislation legislate. We interpreted Article 324 and said the time has come that Chief Election Commission, which is taking care of a democratic country like this, which 140 billion people are there, to uphold the democracy of this country, Election Commission has to be insulated in all respect. And to hold up independence of this institution, we in our wisdom thought that there must be an agency to examine while taking a final decision that who is the fit man to be recommended for appointment of a Chief Election Commissioner.
So as of this moment, no law has been enacted. So do you think that that would again create some kind of a crisis in this current system, because there is already a Chief Election Commissioner and then 2 election commissioners are there. Very soon one of the election commissioner will be retiring. In such a case, unless until there is a law that has been put forth enacted by the centre, can they continue with the existing system, or because there is a Supreme Court judgment they have to follow the collegium-like system for appointment?
No, if the legislature does not come out with any legislation, they are bound by the law of this country.
Which is the Supreme Court judgment?
It's a Supreme Court judgment. Whatever the appointments they will make now, in the absence of any legislation to this effect, they have to make appointment in terms of judgment of this court. There is no other room available for them to think.
If you say that if such a system is in place for appointment of election commissioners and then in turn to chief election commissioner like a collegium like system, similar system is in place for the appointment of CBI director also. But many say that all the central agencies have become caged parrot. They are functioning as a political tool of the party which is in power and center. Do you think that such a mere system alone will help in ensuring independence of such institutions?
You see, these are two different questions. When we look into the appointment, a committee take a wholesome view, consider the credentials of the persons who are eligible, and then take a final decision and recommending for appointment for statutory body, the CBI and all are statutory bodies. And the appointments are made. Comments are being made, adverse comments comes, independence also comes in. But it is always for the person who is sitting in the helm of affairs to take a call. And my request is one, please permit these agencies to work. There may be some aberrations in the system, but as long as they are working to the best of their ability, people sitting at the helm of affairs doing justice to the work assigned to them, please permit them. Otherwise what is happening is, we start making accusation against every agency who is working, like ED, like CBI, whatever.
So, but this caged parrot word was given by Supreme Court.
My request is, I don't know in what reference this statement was made and how this was relevant to the working of, but my request is, we as a judge also must restrain in making such comments, and my request is permit these agencies to work and give them independence. The appointments are made with the consideration of the leader of opposition also. Now if something goes wrong later on with the person who is sitting in the helm of affairs, God helps.